Hey guys, what's up? This is the Demon Corpse, and it's been a while, you could say, and happy for more people who subscribe to my channels. Woo, yeah. I don't know what you want me to say. Like, I don't know, but yeah, good job. I hope you enjoy my stuff, and if you do unsubscribe, then oh well. Oh, I must have messed up on something, but I don't know. I mean, awesome, yay for new subscribers. But today we'll be talking about the Sega Saturn Mini and the chances of it ever getting released. And I will just say this, I think the system will be probably around $200 to $300. That's how much I think it will cost. You know, a base market, it's probably going to be a very limited release. I don't know who's, maybe Sega does a deal with the LRG people, limited run games. That's going to probably be the person who's going to be publishing this mini, because why not? I mean, they don't, and the reason why is just because they probably don't think the system will be very successful as a mini, because who's going to buy the Sega Saturn Mini? Well, of course, it's probably me. If it's like, and that's the other thing as well. How good is the emulation? Because they're going to use some form of emulation to make these games run functionally, because I highly doubt Sega still has source code for most of these old Sega Saturn games that were released only on the Sega Saturn. And I mean, there's always that whole issue, you could say, of if it's possible to even get some of those games from the Sega Saturn into the Sega Saturn Mini because of licensing. And most of the games I would say people want to play are probably the JRPGs and maybe some Sonic, because I know there was like a couple of Sonic games released on the Sega Saturn that you could probably play on other platforms. I mean, there's that whole situation maybe, but then there's the weird hybrids that were released on the Sega Genesis and the Sega CD and the Saturn, so you got those. But I would say this, if it's fully owned by Sega and there's no issues, they're going to probably put the games they know they could put into the Sega Saturn Mini in the Sega Saturn Mini. Like the Panzer Dragoon games, yeah, those games will probably be in the Mini, and I know people are going to say, well, they lost the source code to Panzer Dragoon Saga. Yes, they have lost the source code, but they can still emulate it. It's called, like, how do you think Kingdom Hearts 2 got a re-release? They couldn't use the source code, so they went to the PS2 copy and took the data off the PS2 copy and upscaled all of it. So they're going to be using probably a Japanese version, maybe, because it's probably the cheapest version, because I don't think they're going to buy the North American copy. They're going to just get the Japanese Sega Saturn version of Panzer Dragoon Saga and use that version, take the memory out of those discs, and use what they have to upscale it and make sure it functions correctly. And that's where the $300 for the Mini is going to, because of how good these emulators are for these games. And I would just say, if they put all the Panzer Dragoon games on the Sega Saturn Mini, including maybe all the Shining Force games that we never got from the Sega Saturn, including the ones we did get in the Sega Saturn Mini, and there's probably even, and maybe some other third-party titles, maybe from Capcom, just to fill it up to make it worth something, and maybe a couple of Japanese-only games that they know they can get on the Sega Saturn Mini. Then you probably would get to around $300, and they could probably push, the propaganda, hey, you save $30,000 if you buy this Mini. And most people would be confused by, wait, what? Because, the normie audience, like the regular normie audience, doesn't even know what a Sega Saturn is. They know what a Genesis is, and because in North America, the Genesis was extremely popular, but the other systems won't, that were published by Sega, except the Dreamcast. And I think a Dreamcast Mini is plausible, but I don't want to see the point of a Dreamcast Mini, because I'll make a video about that at some other point. We're talking about the Saturn, because the Saturn's actually a cool system, but sadly, not many people in North America like it. Well, now they do. Most people want the system, but it's expensive. Like mostly every Sega Saturn game that you want to play, like the ones that like the JRPGs and maybe some like platformers, they're around like above $100, and sometimes complete 200, and sometimes 500, and like, I mean, it's expensive. I think there was even a Mega Man game released on the Saturn, but it was only in PAL regions, I believe. They could probably add that version. So hey, you get a Mega Man game, and that's probably going to make all the Mega Man people nuts. So like, oh my gosh, I get to play the same version again, but on the Saturn. I know I can play it on consoles, but in the modern systems. But hey, I get to play it on this system. They're gonna put something in there to get people like, oh my gosh, I gotta own this copy of a game I already own, but I'll buy it again. It's that whole nostalgia bait. For me, I don't have a nostalgia bait. I just want to play those games because they look interesting. In my own perspective, I know some people are gonna say, well, those games look old. I mean, but it's also, yeah, they're old, but still, they look fun. I want to check them out and play them, but I just haven't got a chance to because one, they're expensive, and now emulators have improved a lot over the years, so it does make it easy. And yeah, I could emulate them, but still, I would like to have a way that I know I can have it on a console. But I know some people will probably just say just emulate it. And I agree, just if you get a good emulator, but to play Sega Saturn. But I know PS3 has improved a lot, so I mean it is plausible that Sega Saturn emulation has improved a lot over the years, and it probably has. But as a whole, let's hope for the best and. Let's hope there's actually some good games on the Sega Saturn Mini if it does exist and if it does happen, and I know it will because, like, they did the damn Mega Drive, and I know the Mega Drive was not that popular in Japan. That's what the Sega Genesis was called over there, I think, or maybe that was Europe. Back then, they used to call consoles weird names because they didn't know how successful it would be. Like, it made sense why the Genesis, because that's such good naming for a system. Like the Genesis, it's the beginning of something great. But good naming. But I think that they probably should have called it that in every region. But there's probably a reason they didn't. But what do I know? I'm not that intelligent. I just want to play these games. But yeah, I just don't want to pay legit around $5,000 to play just the Panzer Dragoon games. Yeah, they're expensive. Maybe I'm over exaggerating. 5,000. I know Panzer Dragoon Saga is like 1,000, and the others are like under, I think 300 to 400. It does differ because I've seen them for different prices. The cheapest I've seen it was like $100 for one of them. It wasn't Panzer Dragoon Saga, but it was, I think it was like Panzer Dragoon 2, maybe. But I know people are gonna say, well, they could remake it, and I would like a remake. Yeah, I would totally like a remake, but I would like to play the original version as well. I mean, that's just me. I like playing both versions because I want to see, like, what people played back then and, play the remake as well. And I have a YouTube channel, so hey, I get to milk it out, so yay. And that's what's going to happen with Halo, trust me. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of Halo when that happens. When I do begin the publishing of those Halo games. Because, yeah, I've captured almost every version that I own, and it's a lot. Yeah, I am a Halo fan. Still one of my favorite games, but I am a noob at those games. But not much now, but I still am in some ways. But as a whole, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And are you guys hyped for a Sega Saturn Mini? Would you buy it for 300 or? Well, it's probably gonna be limited, so you probably, if you do want to grab it for 300. For me, I may, but then I may just wait and just see what happens because it could be bad. But I don't know. If it's published by Sega, they may not mess up. But this is Sega we're talking about. You never know what they're going to do. They could do something right and then they mess up. But they did it with the Sonic Origins collection. And that does get annoying when they could have added everything on the disc, but they're just being lazy. That really annoyed me. It's like, how can you F it up? Okay, it's getting a digital release. Okay. Got no problem with that. I mean, as long as you put everything on the physical. And I was hyped, and that was on my list, and then I found out it wasn't all on the disc. I was like, you know what, screw it. Why would you guys do this? And I just exited out. And now I've seen it for on sale, but I'm not bound to buy it. I mean, if I do see it, if I see it for like $1 or so, I may buy it just for trade-in value because I know I can use it for trade-in for something I'm looking for. But I don't know. I'm that type of dude. But I'll just wait. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. See you, scavengers.